Pack your things. Your brother needs the room more, my dad said, tossing my keys on the floor. My mom added, you'll still send rent and utilities, right? It's only fair. I didn't argue. I left quietly, canceled every payment in my name, and changed the login they'd been using for years. A week later, their power was out, their internet was gone, and my brother texted, Mom says you need to fix this. I replied, not my house, not my problem. My name is James. I'm 24 years old, and for most of my life, I thought being useful meant being valued. I was wrong. I pulled into the driveway just after 8 p.m. on a Thursday. Work had been brutal, back-to-back client calls, a presentation that tanked, and a manager who decided my weekend was now his project deadline. I was bone-tired, the kind of exhausted where thinking felt like lifting weights. The porch light was on. Through the front window, I saw Mom setting the table and Dad on the couch with his laptop. Normal routine. I grabbed my bag from the passenger seat and walked to the door. Inside, the house smelled like reheated pasta. The TV murmured some crime drama my parents always watched. I dropped my keys in the bowl by the entrance, the same one I'd used since high school. Hey, I called out. Mom glanced up from the kitchen, her expression neutral, not warm, not cold, just there. James, we need to talk. Those 4 words never meant good news. Dad appeared in the doorway, arms crossed, wearing that look he got when he'd already made a decision and was just informing me. What's going on? I set my bag down slowly. Your brother's moving back home, Dad said, no preamble. Ethan, my younger brother, 21, directionless and always between opportunities. He left for college 2 years ago, dropped out after 3 semesters, and had been couchsurfing with friends since. Okay, I said cautiously. When? This weekend. I waited for more context and explanation. Nothing. He needs your room, Mom added, wiping her hands on a dish towel. It's bigger. More space for his equipment. Equipment. Ethan had decided to become a content creator, mostly gaming streams. He'd bought a fancy camera and microphone setup with money he didn't have, hadn't produced a single video with over 100 views, but needed space for his equipment. Where am I supposed to go? The question came out calmer than I felt. Dad shrugged. You're 24, James. You should have your own place by now. I stared at him. I'd been living at home to save money, sure, but I'd also been covering most household expenses for the past year, internet, utilities, groceries half the time, streaming services, even car insurance for Mom's sedan. They knew this. I'd never hidden it. I handled things quietly, as always. I'll need time to find a place, I said. You've got until Sunday, Dad replied, turning back to the living room. 2 days. They were giving me 2 days. Mom stepped closer, her voice dropping to that practiced, reasonable tone. You'll still help with rent and utilities, right? It's only fair. This is still the family home. Fair. The word landed like a brick. I looked at her, the woman who raised me, who taught me to be responsible, to take care of family, and realized she saw me as a checkbook, a reliable income source that could be relocated without issue. Right, I said quietly. She smiled, relieved. Good. I knew you'd understand. I didn't understand. But I didn't argue. I climbed the stairs to my room, the one I'd lived in since I was 8. The walls still had marks from middle school posters. The desk where I'd done homework, applied to colleges, built the budget that kept this house running. I sat on my bed and pulled out my phone. Apartment listings, security deposits, move-in costs. I could afford it, barely, if I stopped paying for everything here. But they expected me to keep paying, to fund their lives while being pushed out. I opened my banking app and stared at the recurring payments, 12 bills tied to this address, subscriptions in my name, accounts I managed. For a moment, I considered calling them downstairs, asking why Ethan's comfort mattered more than my stability. But I knew the answer. Ethan was the one they worried about, the one they made space for, whose dreams mattered, even if half-formed and unfunded. I was just the one who paid the bills. I set my phone down and started packing. Friday was a blur of boxes and silence. I called in sick to work, rare for me, but I needed the day to pack, to sort through a decade of life, deciding what fit in a storage unit and what didn't. Mom and Dad barely acknowledged me, moving through the house like I was already gone, discussing paint colors for my room. Ethan wanted gray, something modern. He hadn't even arrived, and he was redecorating. By evening, most of my stuff was in boxes stacked against the wall. I'd found a short-term rental, a small, overpriced studio 20 minutes away, available immediately. I signed the lease online, paid the deposit with savings meant for something better. I was loading the last box into my car when Dad appeared in the doorway, arms crossed, expression unreadable. You understand why we're doing this, right? He said. I paused, box in hand. Not really. Ethan needs support right now. He's trying to figure things out. You've always been fine, James. You don't need the same help. Fine. That word again, the excuse for everything. I was fine when they forgot my birthday 3 years running, fine when they missed my college graduation for Ethan's baseball game, fine when they asked me to cover rent so Ethan could take a road trip with friends. Fine meant forgettable, functional, dependable while everyone else got attention. What about the bills? I asked, setting the box down. Dad's expression shifted, uncomfortable. Your mom mentioned that. We'd appreciate it if you kept helping out, at least until Ethan gets on his feet. How long will that take? He shrugged. A few months, maybe longer. You know how it is. I did. Ethan had been getting on his feet for 3 years, each attempt funded by someone else, each failure cushioned by family money, my money. I'll think about it, I said. Dad's face hardened. Don't be selfish, James. Family helps family. Selfish. Now I was selfish. I carried the box to my car without responding. Inside, Mom was in the kitchen, scrolling her phone. She looked up. Did you transfer this month's utility payment? She asked, casual as if discussing the weather. Not yet. Can you do it tonight? The due date's tomorrow. I stopped in the doorway. I'm moving out tonight, Mom. I know, but the bills don't stop just because you're leaving. She smiled that practiced smile. You'll still be on the accounts anyway. It's easier if you keep handling it. Easier for who? James, don't make this difficult. We're counting on you. Counting on me. Always counting on me. I walked to my room, now nearly empty. The bed was stripped, the desk cleared, the closet hollow. Ethan's equipment was already in the corner, 2 boxes labeled, fragile, in his handwriting. He'd shipped them ahead, confident the room would be ready. I pulled out my phone and opened my email. First, the internet provider, account holder requesting service cancellation effective immediately. Then the electric company, water, gas, streaming services, cloud storage, the meal kit subscription Mom loved, the premium music service Dad used for runs. One by one, I queued the cancellation requests. My finger hovered over send. This would hurt them, force them to scramble, but they'd hurt me first. They'd made it clear I was expendable, useful only for what I provided. I hit send. 12 emails dispatched. Confirmations arrived within minutes. Your service will be disconnected. Your subscription has been cancelled. Thank you for being a customer. I forwarded each to a folder labeled Fair. I grabbed my keys, the ones Dad tossed on the floor like I was being evicted, and walked out. Nobody stopped me. Nobody said goodbye. I drove to my new apartment in silence, city lights blurring past. Behind me, the house still had power, internet, heat, for now. The apartment was smaller than expected, 1 room, a tiny bathroom, a kitchen that was just a counter with a hot plate and mini fridge. Thin industrial carpet, beige walls marked by countless temporary tenants. But it was mine. I set down the last box and stood in the empty space. No furniture, no bed, just boxes and the faint smell of cleaning products. I turned off my phone's notifications, unable to handle the buzz of family group chats I no longer belonged to. I sat on the floor, back against the wall, and stared at nothing. The anger faded into exhaustion, the kind from carrying something heavy for too long and finally setting it down. I thought about the house, Mom and Dad watching TV, oblivious to what I'd set in motion, about Ethan, arriving tomorrow expecting his room to be perfect, his life accommodated. They'd always accommodated him. When Ethan wanted to play travel baseball, Dad drove him to tournaments every weekend, 6 hours round trip. When I wanted to join the debate team, they said it conflicted with family dinners. When Ethan needed a car for college, they co-signed a loan, and I helped with the down payment. When I needed a car, they told me to save up and buy used. When Ethan dropped out, they welcomed him home with reassurances he'd figure it out. When I stayed home to save money, they charged me rent. The pattern was clear, I'd just been too busy being useful to see it. My phone buzzed twice. Texts from Mom, James, the internet isn't working. Did you forget to pay the bill? Can you call the company? The automated system isn't helping. She didn't know yet. The cancellations wouldn't hit fully until morning. But they were coming, a cascade of inconveniences piling into something bigger. I typed a response, deleted it, typed another, deleted that too. I turned my phone face down and left it on the floor. Outside, the city hummed with Friday night energy, cars, laughter, life continuing. I pulled a blanket from a box and spread it on the floor. No pillow, no mattress, just thin carpet and the weight of what I'd done. I closed my eyes. Tomorrow, they'd realize the power would flicker off, the internet would die, the streaming services would lock them out. They'd call, demand I fix it, but I wouldn't answer. For the first time, I'd be unavailable when they needed me. That thought let me fall asleep. I woke to 17 missed calls. Sunlight cut through the window, harsh and uninvited. My back ached from the floor, my neck stiff, but my phone told the story I expected. Mom, 6 calls, Dad, 4, Ethan, 7, surprising, since he'd arrived early. I sat up, stretching, and scrolled through texts. Mom, 6:47 a.m., James, call me immediately. Nothing is working. Dad, 7:02 a.m., what did you do to the accounts? Ethan, 7:15 a.m., dude, seriously, no internet. How am I supposed to set up my stream? Mom again, 7:33 a.m., this isn't funny. The power company says the account is closed. Fix this. I made coffee with the single-serve machine I'd packed. The apartment was quiet, peaceful. No voices through walls, no passive-aggressive breakfast comments, just me. I opened my laptop, the confirmations were there, time-stamped and official, services terminated, final bills generated. I'd done the math last night, $1,800 a month for their house, internet, utilities, groceries, subscriptions, rent they called fair. That money now stayed in my account. My phone buzzed, Dad calling. I let it ring. Then I opened a document and typed a breakdown of every payment I'd made over 18 months, dates, amounts, descriptions. The total, $32,400. That's what being family cost me. Another text from Ethan, Mom says you need to fix this. She's crying. I stared at it. She was crying because her comfort was interrupted, because she had to deal with a problem I wasn't solving. I typed, not my house, not my problem, and sent it before second-guessing. His reply, what the hell is wrong with you? Nothing was wrong with me. That was the problem. I'd been fine too long, fine while they used me, dismissed me, kicked me out for Ethan's equipment. I blocked Ethan's number, then Mom's, then Dad's. The silence was immediate, absolute. I closed my laptop and looked around my empty apartment. I needed furniture, food, a life not built around their needs. I grabbed my wallet and keys, locked the door, and walked to a nearby diner. I ordered breakfast and sat by the window, watching strangers pass. Nobody expected anything from me. For the first time in years, I felt invisible in a good way. My phone stayed silent. They were realizing I wasn't coming back, wasn't fixing this, that the foundation they'd built their lives on had walked out. Sunday afternoon, someone knocked, 3 sharp, insistent knocks. I was assembling a cheap bed frame, instructions spread on the floor. Through the peephole, Dad's face, distorted, looked tired, angry. I opened the door but didn't invite him in. James, he said, voice tight. We need to talk. I'm busy. This is important. So is furniture assembly. His jaw clenched. You shut off everything, the power, the internet, all of it. I canceled services in my name. You didn't give us warning. You gave me 2 days to move out. Silence, heavy and uncomfortable. He shifted, glancing into my apartment. Your mother's upset. She'll survive. Ethan can't set up his equipment. Not my problem. His voice rose. Don't be childish. We're family. You don't abandon family because you're throwing a tantrum. Tantrum? I stepped into the doorway, forcing him back. I'm not abandoning anyone. I'm stopping. There's a difference. What's that supposed to mean? I'm done being your ATM, paying for a house I don't live in, funding Ethan's dreams while mine don't matter. He laughed, sharp and bitter. Your dreams? You've never had any dreams, James. You just do what you're told and collect a paycheck. The words cut deep. Maybe that's because every time I wanted something, I was told to wait, to be practical, to help Ethan first. Ethan needs support. You don't. I was useful, I said quietly. That's different. His expression hardened. You're being selfish. Your mother and I are struggling because of this. We have bills, responsibilities. Then pay them. We can't afford it without your help. Then you shouldn't have kicked me out. His face flushed. We didn't kick you out. We asked you to move so Ethan could have space. You told me I had 2 days. You threw my keys on the floor. That's being kicked out. You're twisting this. No, I'm telling you what happened. You don't like how it sounds. That's not my fault. He stepped closer, voice low. If you don't restore those accounts, you'll regret this. Is that a threat? It's a promise. Family doesn't treat each other like this. You're right. They don't. I closed the door in his face. Heart pounding, I listened to his footsteps retreat, a door slam, an engine start, then silence. I returned to the bed frame, hands shaking, and kept tightening bolts. The city moved on outside, indifferent to the fracture that had just widened. My phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. James, it's Mom. Your father told me what you said. I can't believe you'd be this cruel. We raised you better. I deleted it and finished building my bed. By Monday, texts came from extended family, cousins I barely spoke to, Aunt Linda, Uncle David who'd never texted me before. All variations of, your mom is hurt. Family sticks together. Fix this. I was the villain, the ungrateful son who abandoned his family over a misunderstanding. Nobody asked my side. I sat at my laptop, apartment dark except for the screen, and opened a new document. If they wanted a story, I'd give the real one. I listed names, dates, context, then added financial records, screenshots of bank transfers, payment confirmations, autopay receipts. January 2023, internet $89, electric $147, groceries $320, subscriptions $67. February 2023, internet $89, electric $153, groceries $295, subscription $60, mom's car insurance $112. Month after month, an unbroken chain of payments they treated as automatic. The document grew to 23 pages. I added notes explaining each payment, the times they asked for help, promises to pay me back that never materialized, their casual assumptions I'd handle it. At the top, a summary. My name is James. I'm 24. For 18 months, I paid most of my family's living expenses while living at home, believing it was temporary. That family took care of family. On Thursday, my father told me to move out so my brother could have my room. My mother asked if I'd keep paying their bills. When I declined, I was called selfish, cruel, ungrateful. This document is a record of what I paid. Make of it what you will. This wasn't revenge, just insurance against their narrative. I attached it to an email, subject, the truth, sent to Uncle David, Aunt Linda, cousins Sarah and Michael, every family member who'd texted. I hit send. Read receipts appeared, then my phone exploded. Sarah, oh my God. David, I didn't know. Your dad didn't tell me this part. Linda, James, I'm so sorry. I thought this was a fight over rent. I turned my phone face down and looked out the window. The city flickered below, each light a story. Mine was no longer private. By morning, the family group chat I was still in had 63 messages. Mom, he agreed to help. We didn't force him. David, you asked him to keep paying after kicking him out. That's not help. That's exploitation. Dad, this is family business. Stay out of it. Sarah, you made it family business when you lied about him stealing. I muted the chat and set my phone aside. The truth was out. What they did with it wasn't my problem. I had work, a life to build, a future not tied to their needs. I fell asleep before midnight for the first time in 18 months. Wednesday evening, the power came back on at the house. Ethan posted a photo of his streaming setup with the caption, back online. Let's go. Someone had paid the bills, not me. I was reviewing a work report when my phone buzzed with a voicemail from an unknown number. Mr. Thompson, this is Melissa from County Credit Services. We're calling about a delinquent account for 47 to 38, Maple Drive. The account holder listed you as an authorized payer, but payments have ceased. Please call back to arrange payment or discuss removal of your name. They'd listed me as an authorized payer, meaning if they didn't pay, it could hit my credit. I called back immediately. Melissa explained I'd remain liable until the account holder removed me or the account was closed. I thanked her, hung up, and called a lawyer. The consultation was brief. I could be held responsible, should document everything, and send formal requests to remove my name. It wouldn't be fast. I spent 2 hours drafting certified letters to the electric company, internet provider, and water utility. Remove my name. I do not authorize future charges. I am not responsible for this address. I opened the family group chat, 417 unread messages. The latest, from Dad an hour ago. James, if you don't call back and fix this, I'm pressing charges for theft. You took money that wasn't yours. Theft? They were rewriting history. I typed, I paid for services in my name. I canceled those services. That's not theft. If you want to press charges, I have 18 months of bank records. We can discuss it in front of a judge. I attached my financial breakdown and added, I'm removing my name from every account tied to your address. If you can't afford the bills, that's not my problem. You made it clear I'm not part of this family unless I'm useful. So, I'm done being useful. I hit send, left the chat, and blocked their numbers as they called. I powered off my phone and sat in the quiet apartment. The city hummed outside, a siren wailed, life continued. I thought about calling a friend but didn't. This wasn't about being understood, it was about being free. The next morning, I mailed the letters, watching them disappear into the postal box. Responses arrived by Friday, emails confirming my name was removed from accounts. One by one, the ties to that house, that family, that version of myself who believed being useful was enough, were cut. I opened a bottle of wine I'd bought to celebrate my apartment and poured a glass. Sitting by the window, I watched the sunset paint the city orange and gold. I didn't feel victorious or vindicated, just quiet. And that felt like winning. 3 weeks later, the silence became normal. No emergency summons to fix their problems. My life settled into a rhythm: work, errands, cooking in my tiny kitchen, reading before bed, small, ordinary things that were mine. The apartment stopped feeling temporary. I bought a second-hand couch, hung curtains, added plants that didn't die, built a space that was mine. On a Tuesday morning, I stopped at a coffee shop near my office. It was busy, full of strangers. Someone called my name, not the barista. I turned to see Uncle David with a travel mug, in a suit suggesting a meeting. "James," he nodded, not quite smiling. "Can we talk for a minute?" My order wasn't ready, so I agreed. We sat at a corner table. "I wanted to apologize," he said, hands around his mug. "For the texts, for not asking your side first. Your dad called that first weekend, said you abandoned them. I believed him. Most people did. Most people were wrong." He leaned back. "I read what you sent, every page. Your mom called after, tried to explain it away, said you misunderstood, that you volunteered to help. I did volunteer. Then they made it mandatory." He nodded. "Your dad isn't talking to me now. Neither is your mom. They're angry I took your side. I'm sorry. Don't be. They've been leaning on you too hard for too long. I should have seen it." He paused. "How are you doing?" The question caught me off guard. Nobody had asked in weeks. "I'm okay. Better, actually." "Good." He stood, checking his watch. "I have to run, but I wanted you to know someone sees it. What you did wasn't cruel. It was necessary." He left before I could respond. The barista called my name. I grabbed my coffee and walked into the cool morning, the city moving around me. That afternoon, a bank notification, my paycheck, minus deductions, all mine. No rent, no utilities, no subscriptions I didn't use. I opened a savings account named Future and transferred half my paycheck. For the first time, I was saving for something that mattered, not their emergencies, not Ethan's equipment, just me building stability. That night, I cooked pasta with vegetables in my tiny kitchen. Nothing fancy, but mine. My phone buzzed, an unknown number. I checked it. "James, it's Ethan." New number. "Look, I don't know what to say. Mom and Dad won't talk about what happened, just say you overreacted. But I read what you sent Uncle David. I didn't know you were paying for all that. I thought Dad was handling it. I'm sorry I texted you that day. I didn't understand." An apology, not perfect, but something. I typed, "Thanks for reaching out. I'm not ready to talk yet, but I appreciate you saying that. I hope the streaming works out." His reply came quickly, "Thanks. And James, for what it's worth, I miss having you around." I set the phone down and finished dinner. The apartment was quiet, peaceful. I'd started this feeling invisible, expendable, useful only for what I provided. But now, in my own space, living my own life, I was visible to myself. And that was worth everything I'd given up.